All right, listen up. So the Lions dominate Monday Night Football. Kind of thought that was going to happen. Now we get a bye week. Red Wings dominating the NHL right now. Really excited about that. Pistons are back. The NBA is back. And the MLB is finally on its way out with its World Series matchup of the LA Dodgers, big shocker, and the surprisingly exciting Toronto Blue Jays. And I say that because I didn't know it was going to be the Blue Jays versus the Dodgers. So we got a lots to talk about. So make sure you like and subscribe as you see this right now. I swear to God, if you don't like and subscribe this, I'm going to send Hitch and he's going to find you and he's going to convince you to do things for him, like cut his grass and other stuff. Nobody wants that. So like and subscribe. Come on. Seriously. 92% of you people who listen aren't subscribed. What is wrong with you?
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
All right. So now that I got that off my chest, like I said last night, or whenever you're listening to this, guys, if you're not a Lions fan, then you had no business watching with that Monday Night Football game because that was for fans only. We had a rough week in Kansas City. I don't want to hash out all the bullshit. We've gone through it all. I've listened to local radio. I've listened to the announcers. I've listened to local friends. I've listened to local coworkers all say the same shit, right? And I'm over that game. I'll say the same shit I'll say to you guys and myself. We have to be undeniable. And that's what we were Monday night. The game was supposed to be a shootout. Baker's coming in with an MVP flag that they're already planting in Tampa Bay for him, which, hey, up until this point, the guy's been awesome. He really has. And I'm a big fan of his. Offensively, great wide receivers, pretty cool defense. And when I say cool, some nice guys on that team, some badasses on that team. But in the reality, there's a lot of glaring holes. But we also see that team as kind of a little rivalry because they were kind enough to humbly beat us last year when we were on our 15-2 tear. And they also kind of remind me of us, more so Baker and how his story plays out. But irregardless, Jared Goff shows up, not perfect, but he doesn't have to be perfect every single week. Jahmyr Gibbs was. It was his night to be perfect. It was also the Detroit Lions defense night to be perfect. They played a phenomenal game. The stat line, let me tell you right here, is nobody gave a shit about any of these players before they were Lions. And nothing against them, right? They're calling them the has been. I don't even know what they're giving them, some corny ass name. Either way, it was next man up. And that, you kudos to your coach. Shep, excellent job. You did a phenomenal job game planning against Baker, mixing it up with zone and man, stunting, doing everything you do with the defensive line, but your secondary, man, it showed up. It showed that no matter who's on that team, you're going to coach them to a certain standard. I also thought they played a little bit more discipline than our starters. So guys, starters, watch out. Some of these guys are coming for your jobs, right? You saw some pass blocks in the end zone from a corner who started at Saginaw Valley and I don't think had played a snap in the game or in the NFL prior to that. Yeah, Monday Night Football was fun. I don't want to get too lost in it. I think it was a game ball game for the entire offensive line, which it's not like that's the first game they showed up in. It was just one game where I think if you wanted to see who really set the stage for that to be a win was the offensive line. The blocking, the next level blocking, it was super cool to see Jahmyr give the ball to Penny in the locker room when he get the game ball. And he's just basically gave it back and said, this is just what we do. And it is. That is what they do. They play Pro Bowl caliber, next level offensive, or how do I say this? They're a Pro Bowl line and they play like it every game. That is the standard, Pro Bowl. No matter if you're a rookie that we just drafted or if you're a vet that came onto this team, the standard is Pro Bowl. So got to give a big shout out to Amik Robertson. I think he took leadership of that secondary that we were ever so needing leadership from. He wore Brian Branch's jersey in a press conference. I thought that was so cool. Rocky Sin showed up big. Nick Whiteside is the one I'm talking about. Arthur Mallett, Eric Hamlet, Thomas Harper. But like he said, that's Dan Campbell said that's what we expected. We expected these guys to do their job, right? And that's what they did. They didn't come in here and do anything out of the ordinary. They played top-level elite defense. That's what they did. Now, I'm not saying they're an elite defense. That's the way they played, though. I mean, when you're taking a team like Tampa, who is constantly putting up, I don't have the stats, but let's just say I'm sure they're averaging 28 some points a game, and you let them only throw up 58 in the first half. I mean, that's pretty crazy. So on a game where we were telling everybody the secondary was going to cost us the game, we're going to get cooked because the secondary is depleted. So we gave them the challenge and they accepted it, and I love it. Now, are we going to see that caliber of play from these guys every time they step in? That's up to them, right? I sure hope so. They set the stage for what we think. When I see Whiteside come in and defend 3 passes, I expect that big paw to come defend 3 passes again. I want to see our depth be a respectable depth in the NFL, right? Injuries are a part of this game. Happens to every team. We saw it last night with Mike Evans, right? He's out for the season. So injuries are a part of the team. It's just how you step up. And the Lions did a phenomenal job stepping up. You know, from the offensive side of the ball, I think it was a quiet night from everybody not named Gibbs, because St. Brown had his big flare and a couple nice catches, but you know, you didn't see shit out of J-Mo, which I know J-Mo really wants a big game, and I think he's gonna get a big game. But keep in mind that some of these guys and some of their big games and their explosive plays, we have a long season. We can save a lot of that stuff for. We're not going all in on every game. And that's a key thing I saw. Like, we're watching last night, and Dan Campbell, great coach, decides he's going to force them to take all their timeouts towards the end. You know, and I'm talking to my wife's like, why? It seems like these plays they're just calling to get the clock off and get it over with. And I said, yeah, they're just making somewhat safe but respectable plays to get Tampa to take all their timeouts. So they're in control of the rest of the game and the clock, right? So little things that you love to see our coach do that, right? So not many coaches do. And if you want to look around the league at coaches right now, take a look at some of these coaches, right? So we just played a coach in Tampa Bay where the doc says he's a 2x4, right? So he is a 2x4. He has no emotion. He's so cold and weird and not a football kind of guy. He's a type of football brain you'd see like maybe up in a booth. But then you look at Mike McDaniels. He's yacked out. I don't know what that guy is on. He's 72 pounds. He's in capris. He's not even finishing his sentences at the podium. It's very strange right now with some of these coaches. And then you see guys like Aaron Glenn, coach everybody's rooting for and everybody loves, but he's not stuck with because it's his choice, but with the Jets, right? An organization historically known for their chaos, like known for their bad draft picks. They've never been able to find a quarterback ever. And it seems like anybody who goes there is cursed, right? Sam Darnold, drafted by the Jets, cursed there, somehow plays Pro Bowl in Minnesota, Pro Bowl at Seattle, shows you that he's worth the hype, right? But nope, when you go to a team like that, for some strange reason, you just can't succeed as a quarterback. So I look around the league right now, and I think we're lucky to have Jared Goff. We're lucky to have Dan Campbell. We're lucky to have all the coaches we have. Johnny Morton, Hank Fraley, Shep. You know, we're going into a bye week right now where all of our injuries outside of Terrion and DJ Reed, we're going to get these guys back. I mean, and it's a time where we need them back. I want to see how these guys are healing up, like Kirby Joseph. Now, obviously, Brian Branch was a suspension-related situation, so that game was only out by design from a suspension. But you're getting some health back in the secondary, and the defensive line is super healthy right now. There's just so much. Like a Lee McNeil came back, and that was big with his big old paw that he swatted down. But great game, great time to be a Lions fan right now. I think they've established themselves as absolute contenders. I think Vegas has them as the 3rd best odd for the Super Bowl, but they've established themselves too as not just an explosive offense, right? That game we saw with Tampa Bay, that really kind of set the tone for, hey guys, this Lions team is really starting to separate themselves too with their defense, especially their linebacking play, right? Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell, holy shit, guys, you played awesome. And I know that's not just one game. That's how you guys have been playing. I'm not just saying just that game, but the caliber of play continues to rise with that defense. The offense, I'm not saying has peaked or anything. That offense is just whole humming. We know everything that offense is capable of. That offensive, if completely tuned right, right, almost like a race car, every game, if tuned right, they're able to put up over 40 points. We know that, right? Now they're not going to, but they're going to put you in a position for that much power, right? So we saw it last night where the score is only 24-9, but shit, it should have been over 40, right? There's just a lot of little things that you needed to clean up where you're saying, okay, instead of winning by 15, we want to win by 32 or 24, right? So, anyways, not to sidetrack, but just saying that offense is a whole humming machine. We know what it's capable of. It's the defense that a lot of people have had questions on from the sheer fact of the injuries and not lining up, right? So you had Hutch last year, then you've got Terry Arnold this year, and not that he's out all year, but you know what I mean. There hasn't been a time where every one of those guys is just full healthy, and we can see, right, what we can do, and we're getting there. So, yeah, can't say anything better about that. Now, the only thing I'd want to talk about as we're going into the bye week is obviously the trade deadline. And there's a lot of names now that the season's starting to roll. You're starting to see guys like, okay, for the Lions, obviously it's corner and pass rush. Now, how the market falls out, that'll be interesting to see. You've got teams like the Giants, the Raiders, they have the Bengals, star pass rushers, a team that, let's just say we're not sold, is going to go all the way. And would they want to get rid of their star players? So those are just names to throw out there. I've already saw in the first 5 seconds, now that the Raiders have imploded, Max Crosby being a name out there. Don't want to get everybody excited. Maybe actually, I'll tell you what, if the Lions would trade for Max Crosby, that might bring Hitch back on the podcast. So look for that to happen. That'd be a miracle. But yeah, there's a lot of trade conversation. I'm not really concerned with our depth outside of D end and corner, but that's not anything prolific. Anybody who's a common day Lions fan is going to tell you the same thing. Give me more corners, give me more pass rush, wide receivers. I think we're okay with what running backs. I think we're okay with when it comes to weapons. One of the only teams in the NFL, I think you can say that, right? Where we're that humming on offense. Really cool to see that, right? It's this culture that Dan Campbell's put out with Brad Holmes that we're at that stage now in the evolution where we reap the benefits of that, right? And that's what you saw with these guys standing up and coming up big in this Monday night game when we needed them to. And it was a nice way to go off into a bye week and set yourself away from your division because you're coming back into it and you're playing Minnesota, right? Now, Minnesota's lost J.J. McCarthy, which I still don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. As a Michigan fan, I'm rooting for JJ to get out there and do something. But obviously, as a Lions fan, I don't really give a shit. Carson Wentz is their quarterback, and he's keeping them in games. He kept them in that Philly game. Really thought they were going to win, but they pull off. Philly pulls off a dub. But yeah, we're playing a team like Minnesota who has a really good defense and an offense that don't give Carson Wentz a reason to look good. Please stop. I don't think we will, but that's what we're coming back to. And after a rest, I think that's a really nice team to start with. It's been it's been a while since we played in a divisional game, which will be nice. And if you look at our division, right, the Packers are they're a team I'm not afraid to play again. How about that? And I think we'll play them completely different. They just beat up a shitbag Cardinals team, which Jacoby Brissett was the quarterback and almost beat them. So I don't want to get into dogging the Packers too much. Then you look at the Bears. I think Ben Johnson is having his little fun season. And Ben Johnson is showing you why we loved Ben Johnson, right, as a coach. And things are starting to work there. But the success in Chicago isn't going to be this season. It won't be defined by this season. The success in Chicago will be defined by Ben Johnson's first draft. Ben and Ryan's first draft after this season. What do? Do they draft like the Bears or do they draft like Ben Johnson? So that's, I think you'll see where the Bears are at. But again, not two teams. These teams in our division, I'm not too concerned with. I feel confident that we will win the North. Yeah. Pretty crazy, though. As we kind of scale away into that, we move right into hockey. And what a great year to start covering hockey because the Red Wings look, and I know a lot of people say calm down, right? But they look exciting because they're young. They look exciting because the guys that they're contributing are the draft picks that Steve Eiserman told us to wait and see. I'm pretty sure his words were nothing, and that's what I interpreted, wait and see. But I mean, legit, that's what happened, right? We're asking him to make big moves, and he's saying, my plan is to draft my team. And once you do get my guys and they're all out there, you're going to really like what you see. And with that being said, I mean, they're number one right now in the Eastern Conference, which I don't know is still pretty early on in the hockey season to talk about. But considering as I'm doing this, they have 10 points, right? I know their goaltending can be a little shaky right now. Hermdo covered that in his videos, which if you haven't checked out yet, you got to check out some of these videos and then go check out Hermdo's page. He's been putting out some pretty funny videos, some serious ones too that get you thinking. But his hockey videos have honestly spurred my interest in getting back into Detroit hockey. At once we were Hockeytown, and then things just kind of got strange and we lost direction. And now that we've got McClellan, who is a no nonsense kind of coach, just like Scotty Bowman was, just like Dan Campbell is, uh, the kind of coach that we like, the kind of guy that we're all going to respect, and he's going to set a tone for a culture. So the Red Wings are looking awesome. I've had a chance watch some of the games, and it's weird and interesting to see hockey where our team is scoring lots of goals. It kind of reminded me why I liked watching hockey before. It's fun when your team scores goals. But, Larkin is starting to look like the captain we've always wanted him to be. And now he has a group of guys he can captain. I don't know. Maybe that's it. Finney is looking to be like a steal of the draft. He has kind of won the hearts of a lot of Red Wings fans right now. And I can't say I would have told you so, and I can't say Hermdo would have told you so. I think this is one of those things where Eiserman's going to tell you, I told you so. So, hey, let him. That just means that his plan's working. Like I said, goaltending's still a little on, but, I love to see guys like Patrick Kane. This is going to sound weird, but Patrick Kane play here because it's almost like he knows what Detroit hockey's all about, right? And he played against us when we were still Detroit hockey. And I think his love and respect of this organization is helping sustain it for these young guys. Because once you have the connection of Patrick Kane and Larkin becoming a legitimate captain and these young guys, again, this will be a hockey destination for people to play. The history's already there, guys. These fellows in their prime that we've been asking for the last 5 to 10 years, you can't say that you blame them for not wanting to come to Hockeytown. Again, they're probably saying, great, I know what you did and I know who you are, but you're not where I want to be yet, right? You're not some of these cup teams that it kills me to see the Florida Panthers just be a dominant team in hockey because they're from Florida. It's weird, strange. So yeah, I don't know. To me, it's really nice to see, like I said, maybe a little premature on this one and say what you want, but I'm definitely going to celebrate, these things that we're starting to see, right? So like the Brinket coming over, he looks like who you thought he would be. I kind of want a Lucas Raymond jersey. I don't know, or I want a Sandy Pellica jersey. That's a name that those two. I don't know. I'm thinking about, okay, it's been a long time since you've owned a Red Wings jersey. Who should you get, right? Lions, I already have. Our house has tons of Lions jerseys already. And what used to be a hard decision because you thought to yourself, do you want to get Barry or Barry? Now there's so many different decisions on jerseys you can get that people will actually say, oh, I like that player, right? Not a Joey Ball game or a Roy. I saw a guy in a Roy Williams jersey on my way home from work on Gratiot, on 7 Mile and Gratiot, and he was in it was a really loud blue Roy Williams jersey with really loud blue denim jeans. It was just like a power tower of blue. And then it was one of those Roy Williams Thanksgiving jerseys too, and I don't think it was legit. Anyways, looking at the Red Wings, you think to yourself, okay, back in the day it was the same thing, like who do you want? An Yzerman, a Fedorov, a Larionov, a Maltby, a Hall, a Shanahan. I mean, you can go from Russia to, Canadian to big star we poached to win a cup, right? who do you want? Luke Robitaille, whatever, like a Mike Vernon, a Chris Osgood. Who are you? There are so many Red Wings jerseys you could get, and no one was going to fault you for getting any of them, right? This team, though, however, and not that they would fault you, I want to know, in your opinion, who should I get a Red Wings jersey for? So, Bob, I know you're probably not listening, but if you are listening, let me know. Whose jersey should I get? Herbdo, you tell me. Big Dan, Dan the man, you're my Red Wings ace, dude. Since elementary school, you've owned knowing everything about the Red Wings and like being at every game. Dan, text me. What Red Wings jersey should I invest in? Young guy, right? Not an old school throwback. I get that. We could talk old school throwback all day, but yeah. So um, I think the Wings are back. I think the momentum is good. I think they've got the Lions momentum that we had of rebuilding this whole thing. I think you're seeing that with the Wings. There's some legitimacy, and it looks real for how this rebuild is. It doesn't look just plastered. And again, remember, this took time, so let this play out. Same thing with Brad Holmes. How many people flipped out when they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs? Did you see him run 23 miles an hour on Monday Night fucking Football? Holy shit, right? So continue to look at this from a big, wide open perspective. And I think right now, I think the Red Wings, if they're going to continue to do everything they're doing, sky's the limit. Will there be a blip? Of course, it's a long season. There's going to be a blip. If there isn't a blip, then everyone's waiting on you to drop. There's no perfection in sports. So let's let things be the way they are. Let's not be the darlings and the sweethearts of hockey yet. And I don't think we will be. There's a lot of big names that the NHL is trying to still put in our faces. But yeah, let's just celebrate these guys. Let's watch them. Let's have fun, and put in the comments below what jersey I should get. Because if there's a team I don't need help with, it's the Pistons. Now we got the Pistons back, and the league kicks off on the 22nd. Well, I'm sorry, tonight. The league kicks off tonight. I'm doing this on a Tuesday. So the Pistons will be playing Wednesday against the Bulls. They start in Chicago, so the season doesn't fully kick off here in Detroit, but I don't know. You guys tell me how you feel about the Pistons right now. I'm big on NBA right now. My son is huge into basketball. He's big into playing basketball, and it's kind of gotten us back into watching the Pistons, right? It doesn't hurt that they have a young team as well. When I mean young, like we got Duren at 19. It's a young team, right? You have Cade, you have Jaden Ivey, you have Jalen Duren, you have Azur Thompson, you have this core guys. Again, you're seeing this running theme where you have this core group of young talent that they all brought here via draft. Strategic role players are brought in, and I think this year they did a good job with Duncan Robinson. He's a three-point ace, always has been. When he was at Michigan, that was his claim to fame, and he's been consistent in the NBA. But he was over at Miami for a while, as their three-point shooter. Miami's kind of since fallen off, but dude, I'm looking at Duncan Robinson and I'm saying I can't wait to see him. They just quietly kick it off to him, and he just hits the button. He's not a wild and crazy guy, but you don't need him to be. He's just Duncan Robinson, a 3-point shooter. So no doubt about Cade. He's the real deal. I think he's going to have an MVP season if he can get a healthy Jaden Ivey next to him. So that's my bigger question, right? Where is Jaden Ivey at? How healthy is he going to be? I know he hurt his knee already again. And can he be that second guy? I think he can, as long as he stays on the fucking court. That's the biggest thing for him, right? So not too much to really bicker about, right? The sky's the limit. With Azur Thompson and Jalen Duren being so young, what's wrong with that? They're big, they're strong, they're fast, they're versatile, they're not disrespectful, they're consistent, and you got to love the coach, JB Bickerstaff. If you haven't looked into him, he turned this whole thing around last year where Monty Williams just let this whole thing expire. And JB put in a program that the guys really respond to. And we saw that with that playoff run last year against New York, where, I mean, if you had that depth that every team in the playoffs had but us, you're like, wow, this team really can do it. This team can make a push. Now, they're not a legit contender yet, but they're a playoff contender. I mean, they're not contender for the world, for the big dog, for the title, but they're definitely a contender to get out of the first round. right? So, keep an eye on the Pistons this year. It's got a lot of good energy around them. It's very similar to what we see with the Pacers and the Magic. The Pacers went, right? It's not with the NBA, it's not as scripted, I think, as it once was when there were so many all-stars with like when you had your defined Kobe's and Jordans. They wrote out the SGA vibe. And I mean Oklahoma, man. I mean Oklahoma City Thunder, if you guys don't know, they've got like a team well drafted of young dudes. So that's where the key to success now in the modern day NBA is kind of going like this, biting it for a few years and drafting guys. You have to, unless you are a high market team, which sorry, Detroit isn't. Detroit basketball reigned supreme for years. Oh my lord. I just had to say this. My wife is over at her friend's house right now. She just sent me a picture and they got their face stuff on and it's hilarious. Sorry. Here, I'm gonna take a picture of this. Say, can I use your picture? The podcast. I'm glad she's having fun. So Pistons, back to the Pistons. So we've got a young core team. That's kind of basically where I'm going for this. Have you seen a theme? Lions, young, homegrown, general manager who came in and said, I'm rebuilding this whole thing from a culture all the way up. Pistons, young core, homegrown, same thing. Ground up, rebuild the culture. Red Wings, Tigers, all the same thing. No different than the city of Detroit, guys. This entire city, I hate to be corny, is being rebuilt in the last, 10 to 15 years, starting with downtown, starting with not just these arenas, not just these restaurants, but these neighborhoods too, right? The industry. You're seeing people, and I don't give a shit what you say. It's not the Detroit I grew up in. There's street lights. The neighborhoods are a lot cleaner. Although there may be no houses and it's just cut grass and empty lots, at least all those blight has been removed, right? I'd rather have one house in the neighborhood where everything else is just open fields and woods. Nothing wrong with that, right? Better than the unsafe houses that were run down and the ugliness that it brings. So, anyways, where I'm going with this is you don't take a city like Detroit, you don't take teams like any four of the Detroit teams and build them up like Boston, LA. I hate to say it, but any of the teams in Florida. I mean, you don't just bring pieces and you don't import them, right? You don't import them into your city. You import internally, right? And then you export out a championship. And that's the only way you're going to do that here in the city of Detroit. And that's what these teams are doing. Now, it just so happens that us as fans happen to be on kind of a nice little wave to watch it all build, right? Some of us, right? I look at some of like my kids, the younger dudes, and I'm like, you don't know what it's like when they all suck. And maybe that's a whole nother episode, but what it was like when they all sucked. But that was a big thing in this city where there wasn't anything to root for. Michigan football had been completely ripped apart after 97, right? It all just started to go downhill, like as soon as Lloyd Carr left. Hockeytown was fading away in the late 2000s. We had that and the Pistons, or I'm sorry, that and the Red Wings playoff streak kind of hang our heads on, even though we knew it really wasn't getting anywhere and our team was getting older and nothing was getting done. Basketball was mute, right? So the original owner of the Pistons, he had passed, and the family basically said, we're not going to do anything with the team. We're just going to kind of let it sit idle, that Bill Davidson, until we can find a buyer. So Joe Dumars, sorry, I know you just gave us literally awesome future dynasty level team, but we're not investing anymore. We're done. Just going to have to deal with it, which was a shame, right? Because what he built there in that going to work Pistons, that was awesome, right? And you look at some of these trades and some of these guys that almost came through and that would have kept that whole thing running. Really good on Joe's part and unfortunate on the Davidson's part, but I get it, right? They wanted to get out of the game. So that sat mute for quite a while. And then with Tom Gores buying the Pistons, you could not give away tickets to see it was when they were out in Auburn Hills. You drove all the way up to Auburn Hills to sit in a big parking lot, to walk really far, to watch them play awful, awful basketball. And when you see these teams come through, they're not even bringing their stars in because it's not worth it. And then the Tigers. I mean, you had awesome Tigers baseball in the early 2000s when Mike Ilitch was on his deathbed and he wanted to buy a World Series more than he could, or than anything that he wanted in the world, right? Didn't happen. He gave us everything. Thank you, Mr. I. Whether you like the guy or not, dude, he did everything you could ask for in a billion-dollar billionaire owner. Next to the Dodgers. If you wanted Mr. Ilitch to do something in an offseason, chances are, man, he's going to make it happen, right? And these guys, like, I'll never forget when Torrey Hunter just showed up and was like, let's skip to the date. You want me and I want you. Let's do this. And he's like, sure. I mean, it's when your owner wants to win, it's obvious, right? We see that with the Fords, with Sheila Hamp. And the Tigers now, with Chris Ilitch, it's a little different. He doesn't want to win. I'm truly not convinced. I'm not in the negative Chris Ilitch ballpark. I'm just in the Chris Ilitch ballpark of when it comes to baseball, he's just kind of letting Scott Harris do something and see how things play out. I don't think it's wrong. I really don't. He's not on his deathbed like his dad. He did not have dreams of playing for the Tigers and then owning the Tigers. It's to him, I'm okay with that. I know it takes us fans a little bit of time to get used to see, oh, the Tigers didn't sign yada 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 to a $260 million deal. We're not a baseball town anymore, guys. The only reason we were in a baseball town. Hold on, she said this picture, but LOL, just kidding. We're not in a baseball town anymore. And you can thank Pudge Rodriguez, then you can thank Miguel Cabrera, but really you can thank Dave Dombrowski. He really set that whole thing up for us to just be a fucking awesome baseball town. And it was great. It was so awesome in the 2000s watching the Tigers year over year win the Central, year over year get everybody that you wanted. Victor Martinez was one of my favorites to get. I mean, he hit over 300 on both sides of the plate one year. Getting Torrey Hunter, getting Carlos Guillen, getting Placido Polanco, getting the list goes on, honestly. Curtis Granderson drafting him. He was one of my favorites to watch. The pitching, holy shit. Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, David Price, Anibal Sanchez. Man, and I'm missing more. I mean, holy crap, that was our staff at one point. Then again, no World Series. We could never do it, right? So now what Chris Ilitch has given you is he's given you Scott Harris, which we'll see. He reminds me a lot of the villainesque, not as suave as Brad Holmes, not as cold as Steve Yzerman, but kind of somewhere right in the middle where he's just methodically building a team and he's going, listen, I'm going to annoy you so much and I'm not going to waver from what I believe in. And it'll pay off. And you're going to see why you're a fan and I'm a professional. So, I had AJ on the doctor in the do last time. And I said, listen, okay, you're the Lions GM. What are you doing right now? And he couldn't tell me shit. Now, it's not his fault. A lot of people can't. That's why we're not GMs. All he could say is, well, I would have done this looking back. Okay, I didn't say you're a Lions GM with a time machine. What would you do? I said, make your move right now, and it has to be realistic. When you look at these guys, you got to give them some time to put a fucking billion-dollar team together. Now in the MLB, you're up against the money machine that is the Dodgers. You're not beating them financially. You're also up against the Yankees. Now, when I say the Yankees, we've been the Yankees. We've spent like the Yankees. We've never spent like the Dodgers, and I don't ever want to. But we could compete with the Yankees financially. But if you want to do that, go be the Mets and see how that pays out, right? We're at bottom 20 payroll right now with lots of money and lots of young guys. You've got Kevin McGonigal, who I believe is going to be your everyday shortstop. And you've got plenty of guys who are supposed to fill the spot. But we obviously know baseball isn't just straight like a lot of these other sports where these prospects just come straight up through the ranks, play, and pan out. A lot of times these guys get traded, play into these weird spots, and it's just timing and scouting. So when it comes to baseball with the Tigers, don't expect them to fucking get these big names. Alex Bregman is not coming to Detroit. He opted out of Boston to just get a different deal with Boston and see if there's another team other than the Tigers will pay him I don't know, lots of money on a short deal to be a fucking everyday third baseman. Not short. He wants money, right? So but he doesn't want to play here in Detroit. I don't care if he had AJ Hinch coach for him in Houston. That's when he was in Houston. And Houston is a baseball town right now. Houston will not pay him, but he knows that Boston will probably give him that coin again, and he'll take that. I think he stays with Boston. I really do. We're looking more so at a guy who, from a third base role, maybe you're going to give 2 years, 60 million to. It's going to be an average name. Maybe if you want to pay that money to Suarez, who was already here, go for it. But don't expect everybody to be lining up to be a Tiger. That's all I'm saying. And then, especially when it comes to your boy Tarek Skubal, who I think is awesome. I'm so fucking excited to see him pitch. I think it's cool when you see him throw 14 strikeouts. But I've seen that before. I've seen it with Scherzer and Verlander, and nothing happens. So what I would like to see is he gets traded. I don't want to pay him all this money. He's worth every ounce of it to him, to the league, and to the market, but not to me as a Tigers fan. He's worth it if you're a Dodger fan. If you want to replace Clayton Kershaw as a lefty strikeout pitcher, go get Tarek Skubal. Pay him all the money in the world. Go sign there. I know you want to coat or you want to throw on the west side or in the West Coast. It's okay. I don't want to be a team that's handing out $600 million to a pitcher, and then the roster is a bunch of guys who hit 230. So think about that, right? Don't fall in love with Tarek Skubal because of what he did for us currently while we're paying him. Think long term, and that's where Scott Harris is going to be. I don't know. As I kind of lay all this stuff out, right? All four teams have a path to the top, a respectful path to the top. I guess it's going to come down to which one do you think is going to be first? Super Bowl Lions? Is it World Series for the Tigers? Is it the Stanley Cup for the Red Wings? Or is it a NBA championship for the Pistons, right? And what do you think? Who do you think comes first? I'm not going to tell you who I think because that's no fun. I want to see it in the comments. Don't text me. Put it in the comments. Also, too, like and subscribe, guys. Like I said before in the beginning of the video, that goes a long way. We're building this channel up. As you can see now, this is way more than just Lions football, even though I know I've got some Lions stuff back here, but it's all Detroit sports, all Detroit things. So who knows? Maybe we'll even talk about some white-tailed deer hunting. Come on here, you guys can watch me shoot my bow. But also too, let me know if anybody wants to come on. We just had the doc come on. He's a Bucks fan. Go check that episode out. That was the first time where we ever had someone on from the opposing team the week before, right? Where we did a little back and forth, and we tested it out a loose format, so it really wasn't like my team's better than your team, but it was two teams from two different fans talking, right? Or two fans from two different teams talking. So if you are a fan of another team, Hartley, if you're listening, Packers, Kyle, Packers, I got a lot of Packers friends. If you guys want to come on, man, do so. I think I'm going to be pushing you to do it because I think it's fun. It makes watching the game that much more enjoyable knowing that you've got a little bit of like, oh shit, after the game. So, and to JT and the doc, or JT, sorry, the doc and the do, thanks again for coming on, guys. That was awesome. JT, you're a big, good sport about us giving you a hard time about the game, but hey, it's never too late to be a Lions fan. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. I want to thank everybody again. Let me know if you have any suggestions, anything you'd like us to cover. Let me know if you know where Hitch is at. I've texted him, I've called him, I've sent smoke signals, I've sent people to his house. Again, I'm not convinced that he's not in part of some CIA program. But that's neither here nor there. So Hitch, if you're out there, if that's really your name, we miss you. We welcome you back. And peace.